You know, my struggle has been one where I faced a lot of pain, a lot of loss, suffering, you know, depression, suicidal ideation.
Growing up, I was taught to never be a victim. Growing up as a mixed race kid, I'd always been kind of like people had always with me a little bit. And so to compensate that, I'd fight a lot of people.
You can play the part of victim, never take responsibility. Or rise above the ashes, be the person you were meant to be. The choice is yours, I can promise it ain't easy. Addiction can be overcome, breaking chains to set yourself free. Let my mind drift away.
We got this song called Illuminations featuring Mike Crenshaw and RXN. So there was a time in my life where I was really in a dark place. I had built up these walls within myself of not being able to trust anybody. These repeating experiences would happen, you know, involving drugs and involving alcohol, you know, drinking until I black out, you know, every time. Cycles I repeat, I'm caught up somewhere in between. Peasant and the king, hustler and the fiend.
Yeah, they say that life is just a dream. Been trying to play my roles like my life is just a scene. Cycles I repeat, I'm caught up somewhere in between. Peasant and the king, hustler and the fiend.
So when they say that life is just a dream, been trying to play my role, it's like my life is just a scene. It's like the idea of someone floating through this existence being totally disassociated from all the elements of life that are really about connection. A lot of my life was creating stories within my mind about everything that was going on and people that I would see, and my mind would create these stories, and I got lost in what was real. And so in this place of darkness and isolation, basically I would make music and I would play video games and I would live this really imbalanced lifestyle. The other side of that would be I would go out like with my friends, but in order to do that, it would always involve drugs, alcohol, smoking weed. It's like everything that I was involved in, it was like a scene. I was creating a fantasy for myself as if I was the star of a movie in my own life. I connected with the idea of the hustler because the people that I looked up to, where I was at in my environment, they were the drug dealers, those who had cars, clothes, respect. Those were the role models I had at that time. You know, I wanted respect. I wanted a place in the community where I was seen as powerful. To me, the hustler was the way to achieve that. I guess I was seeking respect, mainly, which is interesting.
Addiction to these fantasies dancing through my mind. Laced with these shadows, drowning me inside. Looking at my life, caught up in a web of lies. I just wanna find a way to escape. I just wanna
fly away. Let my mind drift away to better days. Pop another pill, snort another line, drink another fifth, shut my feelings deep inside. They can never see the light. All I'm left with is the darkness. Walk around with demons convincing me that they're heartless.
I ain't asking you to change the world, I'm only asking you to change. No one else can do it, you're solo on the stage. You can play the part of victim, never take responsibility. Or rise above the ashes, be the person you were meant to be. The choice is yours, I can promise it ain't easy. Addiction can be overcome, break the chains to set yourself free. Damn, okay, yeah. Hey, what's up? My name is Simon, also known as RXN. I'm featured on this track. Absolutely wonderful work that everybody did on this. Pleasure to be on the track. I remember exactly the headspace I was in too. Somebody had like just killed themselves that I was talking to, and it hit me real hard because it always felt like I could have done more to save them. So when you reached out to me, I was in this weird spot where I just started drinking again. I just started smoking again, and I was trying to just numb myself from the reality of what I thought and what I was putting on my shoulders. And those lyrics were kind of just wanting to come out of that depression and be the person that I used to be. So the worst of the abuse was probably when I was 13. Pretty much every day after school, I'd go to a friend's house and drink his dad's six-pack, chug 'em. Then after that, we'd go smoke weed, go sell weed, get in fights with people. When you're young, you think that's the cool shit to do, and then you do those things and you see all the repercussions of your actions. And it was always negative every time. And so every time I get high or every time I'd get drunk, I'd always be like, all right, the next day, all your problems will be gone. This feeling of euphoria will last forever, and it never does. I think like 18, 19, most weekends were blacked out, can't remember it. And then again around 21, started having a lot of mental health problems, and I'd say that's probably when the hit the fan on that, because dealing with a ton of suicidal thoughts, and the mixture of OCD and depression and anxiety kind of had compounded all these suicidal thoughts and tendencies, and turned to substances mostly to block all that out, but it never did block it out. It just blurred it a little bit more until the morning time when it would come back. Making music has been one of the few ways that I've ever been able to express myself. Growing up, you were always taught men don't cry, men don't show emotion, so I'd always shove everything deep, and that was where that lyric was, shove my feelings deep inside so they could never see the light. That's where that came from, because from experience, never was good with showing sadness or heartbreak. It was only either happiness or anger. Music allowed me to express emotions that I had never expressed before and be able to be real with the world and myself. Music had always been my therapy, even before creating music.
So music and entertainment is influential. The vibration, the consciousness, the lyrics impact the way that we think, impact the way we feel about ourselves, and ultimately the choices we make. My name is Mike Crenshaw. I'm an artist, educator, activist, and a member of Rebel Wise.
Born to struggle, born to die, born to bleed, born to hustle, born to thrive, born to succeed. What a person can endure, a warrior search for joy, certainly can't avoid what can hurt you and destroy you. Death is promised, let the economics do the math. Choose illusion in the blues and the most precious thing you have. Nope. Victory, overcome the misery. This is what was meant to be, uplifting life, this gift to me.
Back in the day, you know, they used to blame violence on hip hop. They'd say, well, those rap lyrics were talking about killing cops. They'll go so far as to persecute black artists, you know, and be like, well, they were implicated in extortion and laundering drug money and so forth, and we're gonna use their lyrics against them. I always wanna look at the root. You know, it's like we don't just look at the symptom. We got to look at the root cause. What's the foundation of the sickness? We got to look at the way commercial hip hop has really been used to popularize and normalize certain kinds of behavior. You know, if addiction already existed in the community, it was certain kinds of commercial rap music that made really specific references to Xanax, Percocet, and different opioid prescription meds, to the point where it became cool for a lot of the listeners and the fans to dabble. You know, my struggle has been one where I faced a lot of pain, a lot of loss, suffering, you know, depression, suicidal ideation, brought on by trying to exist in white supremacy in a society that dehumanizes me and people born into the experience that I was born into, with a history of forced displacement, trauma, oppression, you know, economic, racial, on levels, right? So there are these things that have scarred me that I've sought relief from time and time again in my existence that have defined a lot of my character. You know, going to treatment for the first time, when I was in high school, I was doing so much acid and smoking so much weed that I started flunking out of class, and I was about to get in trouble right before the report card came out. And I had to face what I'd done with my decision to be high all the time. So I went to my mom, you know, and I said, I think I have a problem. So that was the first time I went to treatment. And then I was clean and sober for 2.5 years. Eventually, I went back to using and did so for decades. And then again in my adulthood, I struggled, found myself in treatment again, and then wound up clean and sober again for a period of years. And so the journey hasn't been one of absolution. You know, I at times am very clear about what I need to do on a day-to-day basis to work at my full potential. And a lot of that has to do with making time for meditation, making time for strenuous physical activity, some type of workout that gets my blood flowing, you know, whether it's cardio or resistance or martial arts or hiking. And I notice that when that happens, I get a degree of clarity that I don't find through anything else. And so that's very important, you know, to my process, to my self-care. And prayer is included in meditation, you know, the consciousness of being mindful, being grateful and thankful for being here, and speaking to the ancestors and asking to remain conscious of being grateful and thankful and asking for guidance to allow my consciousness and my body, my thought and my action to be in alignment with the highest will that I might not be aware of at all times. But I'm asking for that channel to be open, and I'm asking for my ancestors to help me keep that channel open. Those things are the basis of conscious life to me that allow me to contribute to the highest of my abilities. I came here for a reason. I came here for a purpose. I have divine purpose. I have, you know, powers that are higher than what we can perceive with our egos are the things that give birth to creation. And these things are inside of us, even though we're not always aware of them. And so I try to remember that there's reasons for me being here that might not be of my own design. So yeah, it's like the ultimate intent of my creativity, and I think I have this in common with a lot of the artists that are part of our collective, is using the art as a tool and as a means to direct consciousness towards a place that's gonna be sustaining and empowering, where we can access joy and strength and love and power in a way that has nothing to do with destroying the very gift of life itself.
Dope, positive music is a rare thing that you don't see a lot of the time. And being able to be a part of projects like this that actually push a solid message, the production's solid, the performances are solid, the artists are solid, I think that's a very beneficial thing to the next generation of people coming up.
So this quote says, "Who creates darkness can also be awakened to produce illumination." It reminds us that any of us can go through that process of awakening, looking in the mirror, you know, being aware, what frequency am I at? Is this what I want for my life? You know, are these choices that I'm making, is this what I want for my life? We're naturally creative and we have power. So no matter what, we're gonna be creative beings. The question is, are we gonna create darkness? Are we gonna produce illumination?